What's the most shocking yes you've ever received in response to asking something? Story 1. I started a new job. At the end of the first week, which I felt went really well, the CEO, to whom I reported, called me into his office to ask how I thought things had gone. I smiled warmly and enthusiastically and told him I thought things had gone great, that I liked being there and was looking forward to the following week. He frowned and told me that his opinion was different, and then proceeded to go down a laundry list of things I'd done wrong, such offenses as not coming into his office in the morning to say hello, and arriving at 7:45, 15 minutes prior to my scheduled start, instead of half an hour prior. Apparently, although my hours were 8 to 5, he expected me to be there by 7:30. All my offenses were petty BS, which had he outlined his expectations at any point during the week, I would have obliged. Thus began a terroristic reign. Nothing I did was good enough. And try the end of the third week, I was leaving in tears on the daily, after having been screamed at and ridiculed for minor stuff all day every day. At week 4, when he docked my pay for Thanksgiving, and the day after I was a salaried employee, I fought with HR and got the pay, then started job hunting. At week 6, I went in and said basically this: so I think we can both agree that this isn't working out. I'm sailing to LE today, but I'd appreciate being given 4 weeks severance, since it's the holiday season and it may take me a while to find a job. Within an hour I had a check in my hand, and within 48 I had 4 offers elsewhere. Hopefully the offer you went with actually treated you like a human being, instead of just a thing. How does someone that petty and immature become a boss? Didn't go well because he didn't come in and say hello? Who does he think he is? I bet you got that check so quickly just because he wanted you gone. What a scumbag. Story 2. I was in my early 20s and walked into a Sheetz while unemployed. I was in jeans and a t-shirt and I hadn't shaved in days. I asked the manager, not being particularly serious, if they'd give me a job. Well, there's a new store opening up in a few months. They're starting to train managers for it now. I had mentioned in our conversation that I had an associate's degree in business management. We're only talking about a shift supervisor position here. Wasn't a straight up yes, but she did put in a good word for me for no reason I can think of. After a year's unemployment, that's happened more often than I care to admit. I suddenly had a full-time job making $12 an hour, plus quarterly profit sharing. It amounted to about 4 extra paychecks per year as a supervisor, and health insurance. What a stroke of luck. What are the odds? She must have really seen something in you offering that info to you like that. Good on you, bro. Story 3. I was 17 at the time. I had met a girl on World of Warcraft and we talked for probably about a year. She lived in Wisconsin while I was living in Florida. At some point she went to visit her mother in North Carolina after she graduated. I saw this as an opportunity. I'd asked her if she wanted to do her first semester of college where I lived, and we could see where things went from there. Of course, I had yet to tell my parents about my plan. My parents have always been incredible, but relatively strict. My dad was from a successful military background in the Air Force. I told him I wanted to drive to get a girl I had met in World of Warcraft. I was hoping she could live with us while she went to school. The first thing I expected was shock and a big no, but instead got a few questions about her, her family, and my plan to get her. And then a big yes. Borrowed my dad's truck, drove 12 hours to get her, and it turns out she was exactly like I expected. We Skyped a lot prior. Once I brought her back, we hit it off as good as could be. Now almost 4 years later, we are married and could not be happier. Aw, what a cute story. Man's got World of Warcraft, Riz. Can't believe your parents agreed to that. That's amazing. I'm so happy for both of you. Seems to be a lot of stories as of late of people meeting online and ending up married and happy, which I think is a beautiful thing. Story 4. I've been living with my boyfriend, X, for the past year. He was recently diagnosed with diabetes, although he already suffers from anxiety, depression, and issues with his weight. I guess all of this was taking its toll, and I could tell that he wasn't as into the relationship as we both wanted him to be. After a particularly rough afternoon, we came home and had a serious discussion. I asked him, would it be easier to focus on yourself if I wasn't here? I don't want you to tell me what I want to hear. I want the truth. He said yes. That hurt. It may have hurt, but at least he didn't put all of his problems on you and make him getting better your responsibility. Sometimes people need to heal themselves. It's the only way some people can help themselves permanently. Story 5. I asked my fiance at the time if he was sleeping with my best friend. I think in the back of my mind, I had to have known it would be a yes, but I was really hoping it was a no. I already know that he was cheating on me. One of the girls, yes, one of many, had called our house while he was out and was surprised her new boyfriend had a living girlfriend. She told me he was also seeing this other girl. The description matched that of my best friend, but also his ex-girlfriend. I was hoping if it had to be anybody, that it would be his ex. Nope. Well, we broke it off and I moved on. I have a wonderful husband now and we have a great marriage and none of that BS. The fact that he had many other girls really just speaks volumes on his character. Sorry so much of your time was wasted with that loser, but at least it led you to a wonderful marriage with your husband. Story 6. Just talking to a coworker of mine, who I'd known for nearly 6 months when we were telling really freaked up jokes. One of hers was about physical shaming. I don't know what compelled me to ask, but I asked her if she was ever physically shamed. I felt like the worst friend after she said yes. I still kick myself for asking that. There was no reason for me to. There was also another time she said yes to a terrible question I asked that shocked me, but it's nothing compared to being physically shamed. She may have wanted to talk about it, or at least tell you about it since she was making jokes about it. All you really have to say is, I'm sorry that happened to you. Story 7. My now girlfriend said yes when I asked her out. I'm just this thin, weak nerd who loves science fiction, and she's this incredibly beautiful, smart, funny girl. After I got the balls to ask her, she said yes almost instantly, and I was shocked. I think I stared at her for a good 2 to 3 minutes before I realized what happened. It turns out she liked me for a long time. It feels unreal. I don't think I'm you. If you're about to ask, apparently it could be several other people. Odd. If you are in a similar situation but you're not with the girl, PM me. I love hearing stories like this and I'd be happy to help. I can tell you what I did step by step. Maybe it'll help you guys. Living the dream, man. Story 8. Working at the electronics shop, and have just finished setting up a washer dryer and delivery. I asked anything else you wanted to check out before you pay? 80-inch TV or something? Even chuckled when I said it jokingly. Guy looks at his wife and she just gives him a shrug. Yeah, why not? I brought him over to it and asked if he had any questions. He looks to his wife again and I see her give him a nod. We want one of these delivered too. I was dumbfounded and I think they could tell how giddy I was. If you work on commission, that's awesome. Story 9. I doubled my salary by total accident. I was making $27K a year and was applying to an industrial engineering job over the phone when the job market was bad. They asked my current salary, to which they responded about 27,000, and he cut me off saying 27 an hour? We can work with that. 27K a year is about 13 an hour. They ended up offering me 25 an hour. The next part is what actually applies to the topic. I asked if they had any leads on cheap places to live, and they threw in a studio apartment that would have rented at $500 a month. Kinda crummy apartment, but free. Ah yes, the negotiator. Story 10. Will you pay me $20 if I go and talk to that old lady over there? Made a great $20 and a friend. Apparently no one would talk to her except her family. About to go on a tangent here. See, people talk about how it's sad that people don't talk to old people, or that no one comes to visit them or anything, but heck, people don't talk to people much. Aside from work, if I didn't go out of my way to socialize, after a while I wouldn't have anyone speaking with me either. Kinda sad to think some people are just a couple lonely days away from having no one to talk to anymore. Story 11. Was trying to buy a house 5 years ago, and the banks weren't giving money to anyone that wasn't uber qualified. I was 27 and the house was almost $400K. The bank wanted an extra $25,000 down on top of the $40K I had. Told my boss the next day that I'd lose the offer in 3 days if I didn't have the money. Jokingly asked him for it. Wrote me a check the next day. Still blows me away. If your boss valued you as an employee, then he'd jump at the chance to tie your butt down with a mortgage. Story 12. Pulled off a 48 hours in Mexico once. Was dancing with a smoking hot American girl. Didn't have very long in the town, so I decided to go with Eddie Murphy in 48 hours. You know, there's a hotel right across the street. Let's go get a room and have some fun and come back, okay? Luckily there was a hotel across the street. I didn't know if there actually was or not. Didn't get robbed, had fricked. Sounds like the best night ever. I bet you made Eddie Murphy proud. Story 13. One summer, my friends and I were buying some ice cream at Baskin-Robbins. There was a huge line of 15 plus people wrapped around the place. I had a cute girl serving me. I chatted her up as I ordered, and when it came time, she asked me if I wanted any toppings. I said sure, I'll have some granola, blueberries, and your phone number. A couple of the girls behind me audibly gasped. Got the digits though. Dang bro, that was smooth. But like what kind of monster gets granola on their ice cream? Story 14. I was at a girl's birthday party and she was complaining that she didn't have anybody to frick on her birthday. I happened to be standing in the right place at the right time. I replied to her, "Wanna go frick?" She said, "Come on, let's go." I had never met this person prior to that night. I love telling that story. 90% of success is just showing up. Story 15. I'll accept the position if you're willing to pay number that represents bonkers raise. I really didn't want to change jobs, so I gave a big number to force a no. They said yes and I got a big pile of dollars. Had this happen to me, they made the initial offer and it was lower than what I was making at the then current job. I came back with a much higher request that I thought was really high. They came back and said yes. I feel like I should have gone higher, but whatever. This is why you always gotta go with an obscene number in situations like that and see what happens. Story 16. To my daughter, I don't understand why you keep going outside when you come home from school. It's well below freezing. How crazy could you be? I mean, is your mother beating you when you come home or something? Yes, while crying. And that's when I started the divorce process. Got custody of both kids and ex-wife can't be with them without a supervisor. Thank you for believing her. Story 17. Went to the boss with a detailed 3-point presentation to ask for a ridiculous raise, but I had the numbers to back it up. Before I could even get started, he's like, "Yeah, we need to fix this. What are you thinking?" I tell him my ludicrous number, and he's like, "Okay, that's good. I'll talk to HR today." Boom, promoted. Never got to give that presentation though. But my PowerPoint. Story 18. At a cafe for seemingly innocuous lunch. Mom, son, your father and I, me. What are you, getting a divorce or something? Yes. It was an awkward way to find out after they've been married for 20 years. Oh man, at least your mom had the guts to tell you. I learned on the drive into school because my dad was sobbing uncontrollably. 20 years down the drain. On the way to school is insane. Story 19. This big guy came out of darkness near my house while I was walking to work one morning. Walking right towards me. Asked if he could use my phone. Lied and told him I didn't have a phone. Then he stood there kind of imposing and expectant, and asked if I could give him some money. Are you mugging me? Maybe? No? Yes, I don't know. Story 20. You want to come back to my place and meet my cats? I am not skilled at pickup lines. Christ, this turned into my most popular comment. I would invite all of you interested ladies over to meet my cats. But I'm still with the girl I used this line on. Turns out she doesn't actually like cats at all. Not gonna lie, this would totally work on me. Story 21. Can I drive your car? Context, I was about 17. I played on an indoor soccer team with a bunch of guys aged 25 to 35-ish. One of them ran a very successful software company and had several awesome cars: Ferrari, Lambo, Viper, Corvette. He always drove one to the games. And as my friends and I were leaving post-game, I asked him that question, expecting an amused no. Went like this: can you drive a stick? Yes. Throws keys. I got to drive a brand new Viper at age 17 for about half an hour. Awesome. He was probably just waiting on you to ask that. You'd be surprised how many guys with cool cars are willing to let a kid drive it. Story 22. Her. I have a question. Me. Is it about pies? Her. Yes. Confused silence. Homer asked this in response to I have a question in the episode in which he's an outsider artist. I have asked that question in response to I have a question for many years, probably hundreds of thousands of times. Eventually the question was actually about pies. Best answer here. Story 23. I was at a party pretty drunk, and one of my mates and his girl wandered off upstairs to the bedroom. After about half an hour or so, she walks back in. I stand up and say, my turn next? Trying to get a laugh. She shrugs and says, sure thing. I sat in shocked silence, flapping my jaw for a good 10 seconds before doing my best Hugh Grant impression going, oh, sure, wow, or thanks very much, and obviously you're very attractive and all, but probably not right now if that's okay. My mates were peeing themselves throughout. She definitely won the joke. Story 24. Not quite a full-on yes, but the most shocking thing that's happened when I was just joking around. It was my friend and two girls that he knew, and we were driving to Safeway. I'm joking around the whole time as sort of a defense system for when I'm around people I don't know. And in that somehow learned one of the girls was from a farm. I jokingly said, oh, a farm girl? Did you ever bang one of the horses? The response I got back was, haha, no, that'd be gross. But I have fricked a dog. I just shut my mouth for the rest of the trip. She what? Story 25. I was doing a travel nurse position, and they needed someone just an hour north of where I was in the same hospital system, but I turned it down a few times. They ended up giving me 2 plane tickets home to my husband, an increase in hourly wage, and provided a substitute travel nurse for 2 weeks. Because I'd already planned a camping trip to Colorado with my husband, I never asked for anything on my assignments, just safe housing that will allow dogs or I find it myself. Story 26. Hottest waitress I know wants Summerfest with me with almost zero notice. It was like an hour before the show and I was asking everyone I know. I had chatted with her a few times but never hung out outside the bar. Needless to say, I was pretty shocked when she said yeah. Good job, Charlie. Story 27. Not a verbal yes, but a girl I was seeing was the only person that drank during a game of Never Have I Ever when someone brought up debauchery. On a side note, if you're overplaying Never Have I Ever, don't bring up sexual assault. It can make for an extremely awkward moment. Yeah, that's a pretty dong move. Story 28. 15-year-old me desperately wanting a pet, and parents point blank refusing, jokingly asked, fine, can we get a Great Dane instead? Now on my third Great Dane. You probably shouldn't eat those. Story 29. Asking my grandma all sorts of random questions just to see, and when I asked have you ever flown upside down, she replied, oh yes, I used to do that all the time. Her older brother flew a crop duster, and would take her up and practice stunts. Great to hear as a 10-year-old. Your grandma and her brother sound like the coolest people ever. Story 30. On a first date with this girl I never thought would go out with me. I casually asked if she would like to take a bath with me. Her exact words were, well, hop to it. In November, we celebrate our 45th anniversary. I'm still shocked that she said yes. Alright, I'm gonna have to try this one out. Story 31. I'm a teacher. I asked my administrator permission to teach the graphic novel Moss to my AP English 3 class. I'm particularly expecting to get permission. Not only did I get a yes, but it's worked in class really well. Story 32. Me, you're home early. Have you been sacked? While laughing. Dad, yes, the company has folded. As a 15-year-old, I had no idea what to say, so I walked off. Story 33. Wait, so you had a call from Google saying your account was compromised, and they wanted to remote into your computer? Did you let them in? Yes. Nothing is more infuriating at times than working in a call center doing tech support. People really need a class on scammers if they're going to be allowed to use a computer. Some people are just way too gullible. Story 34. You didn't pick me up at the airport with 3 pounds of weed in the trunk, did you? My roommate in undergrad was a rather charming character. I don't always drive the speed limit, but when I do, there are illegal substances in the car. Story 35. Our parents never bought me and my brother sugary cereal or snacks as kids. Chocolate Pop-Tarts, Gushers, fruit by the foot. One time they agreed to our demands of a 3-pack of Captain Crunch. It was a glorious next couple of weeks for our household. You should have went for Reese's Puffs. Those things are heavenly. Story 36. Me on the way home from a day trip to Chicago. Dad, can we go see the new Michael Jordan statue outside the United Center? Dad, sure. Also, it just so happens, reaches into his pocket. We're going to the game too. Best day ever. Best dad ever too. Story 37. Back in school, I came into class late. The teacher wasn't there and everyone was talking, so I come in and ask jokingly, "What happened? Someone killed himself?" Yes. An 11-year-old Vietnamese immigrant. Awkward. Story 38. A job I had about 4 years ago. Abruptly, out of a fit of built-up rage, I approached my boss and said, "I don't like how stuff is getting run around here, and I want a promotion. Promoted on the spot." Story 39. To my sister, "Are you pregnant?" Only because it was a joke after I had a dream that night before about it. It turns out she had only told my parents a day or two before and it was still supposed to be a secret. Man's getting visions of the future in his dreams. Story 40. You're telling me I get to play a round of golf with the Morgan Freeman? Yes. I get to play golf with God? Yes. Coolest 4.5 hours of my life. I demand to hear more of this one. That's awesome. Story 41. It was the day after I got my driver's license and I asked my dad if I could go to my girlfriend's house. He just said, "Take the car." It was the best feeling ever. It wasn't actually a yes technically, but I think it fits. Story 42. I yelled to my brother to ask if he wanted pizza. He said yes. What I didn't know was that he was right behind me. Scared the poop out of me. Story 43. A friend asked me if I'd go with him to tell his parents he knocked up his girlfriend. We were both 15. I surprised myself by saying yes. We're still best friends. Going with a buddy for something like that is definitely a for-life best friend. Story 44. My parents were disagreeing over how to split their assets evenly in the divorce. I asked if I could have the newest car so they'd be even. Story 45. When I was a kid, I jokingly asked my mom, "What if Greenland was icy and Iceland was green?" You can imagine how I thought that was the greatest thing ever when she told me that's how it really was. I still think they named them that just to frick with everybody for eternity. Story 46. In high school, does anyone have a microwave? A weird kid raises his hand. Mine's in my locker, but you can borrow it. Too long didn't read, I borrowed the weird kid's microwave. That's not weird, that's just prepared. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe for more videos to come or else this spider will be in your bed tonight.